There's already a lot of videos showing Elite Dangerous in its present state, but a few friends asked for my opinion about it, and I decided to try and edit a few, put a few things together. Even with my terrible English, well, what can you do? So anyway, this is the inside of your Sidewinder, your basic ship. It's a terrible ship, but it's all you get at the beginning of the game. This is single player mission. You get a few scenarios where you can try and learn the game. They are kind of tutorial missions, and at the same time they present a few challenges. You're just shooting some canisters here, so not so interesting, but I really like the multi-cannon. It's a ballistic weapon. I like its effect, and I like how the projectiles bounce off your targets. It feels right. Sound design in this game is beautiful, but I'll try to get back on this later. I wanted to show off the asteroids too. I think everything looks really pretty in this game. Space can be boring, space can be pretty just black, and but they did a good job in trying to make it a little bit colorful between your HUD. I think your ship looks great, the inside of your ship looks great, and so are all the light effects. I don't know what they said, something about being dynamical, and I don't know. Well, anyway, it looks right. Fast forward to the second single player mission. This is just your first dogfight. The enemy is a terrible pilot, so it shouldn't be so hard to kill them, but it still took me some effort. And what you get here is just the end of the fight. They have 12% hull left, their shields are down, and I still cannot hit them to save my life. So what do? That's right, ram them to death. And it worked. 400 credits bounty collected. And fast forward to the third single player mission, which is the first real fight. This is pretty. This was really hard for me at first. I had to adjust to the controls, and mouse and keyboard is nice once you adjust a little bit the sensitivity and change a few things. I decided to put the yaw on the mouse, while originally the yaw is on the keyboard, and you get the roll on the mouse. So third mission, you know, this guy, Crimson Triumph is the name of this pirate, jumps in and starts shooting at you, and they can literally kill you in their first run. So you have to understand how to manage your speed, your throttle, in order to try and get in their six and prevent them from doing the same thing. We have pulse lasers here. This is one of the weapons I find kind of disappointing, no matter what. Yet, I don't know, it's just kind of weak. I hope higher class of pulse lasers will be better. But all the other sounds are great. This is one of the few that I don't think it's that good. This dogfight was really nice, and I thought I was going to get the guy. As you can see here, I'm still 100% health, and their shields are slowly going down. I really like the effect of the engines. It just feels the way it should feel to me, as opposed to a certain other space game. But anyway, that's just personal preference. As you can see, their hull is going down, 80%, shields are down, and I really thought I had them. But here, something stupid happens. I think, well, not yet, but at some point I overheated my lasers, and I didn't put too much energy into lasers, so as a result, they weren't recharging. You have you have engine, weapons, and systems to take care of, and you have to prioritize them somehow. And all of the three choices give you some advantages or problems, and you have to deal with that. Here, as you can see, I suck. So this guy got me very well. He started cracking my cockpit, my canopy, and my lasers malfunctioned, which means they started shooting by themselves, which I think feels really cool. Except, you know, I died. So in the final run, I thought I was going to get them, but my lasers were just doing whatever they wanted, and as you can see, my evasive maneuver was non-existent. So I died, but I'm not ashamed of my failures. That happens a lot when you're honest with yourself. Anyway, fourth mission, because eventually I killed the bastard, it's actually easier in my opinion. Yes, there's 4 enemies and you have a different setup. A burst laser, which is gimbal, which means as long as you get a lock on your enemy, the weapon is gonna turn a little bit to the left and to the right following the target. So it's like auto aiming and it's very easy to use. The downside should be that it's less powerful than a equal class laser, but right now it's not, so they will have to balance this weapon because it's too good at the moment. And don't get me started about missiles. The missile rack, as you can see, yeah, they are just gonna fry everything. The good downside about missiles is that at the moment ammunition is ridiculously expensive, which I think it's a great idea. It's a great money sink. It's a good idea for the economy, and it's well, it depends. Eventually rich people will be able to use them and poor people won't, but you can only charge a certain amount of missiles in one run, and they're a very good weapon, as they should be, and they feel very good when you use them. I love the noise, I love the effect. Anyway, also again on missiles and gimbaled weapons, there are some defensive measures planned to prevent enemies to get a lock on you. Some clouds, some thing that are supposed to prevent the weapons to get a lock and follow you around. And then of course there's always rigging yourself for silent running, which is pretty much shutting a lot of your systems off, so your signature, that little value on the right of your screen, gets so low that gimbaled weapons and your systems cannot get a lock on the enemy. It's a really cool feature. It allows you to get to stealth closer to an enemy before starting to attack them. The downside of stealthing or silent running is that your ship overheats like crazy when you do it, because in order to not emit a signature, it closes off the heat exchanging vents basically. So anyway, I finished that mission. Here I switch to multiplayer. Leaving the starting base. I hope you can pay attention to the sounds here. I really love this part of the game. Everything feels so cool and immersive in my opinion. There's a missing noise for the landing gear. I instantly noticed that, but there's not a missing noise for the cargo scoop. That sounds amazing. We'll come back to the space station later to check the details. It just looks like a big huge cylinder, but there's much more to it. We'll see it later. What follows is a little bit of free flying. Try to target a few people around the station. There's some floating canisters here. I was thinking of stealing, actually scooping up, but they count as stealing unless they're yours. There's some ship floating around here, and I decided to approach them because you don't get that many chances to check the models of the ships close enough. This in particular is the Sidewinder, is the same one I'm driving, and it looks like a space wallet. You know, my grandfather's wallet looked pretty much like this. It's not the best design, but they are respecting the original designs. The problem is that when you're respecting a 1984 design for the first 3D game, what you are respecting is a square, a circle, a triangle. I love Elite and I love every version of it. I'm just saying, the result is that you get these iconic ships that are a little bit ridiculous. I'm not surprised people are not impressed at first, not at least as not as for the Star Citizens one. Anyway, whoever is driving this was just probably checking the controls or having some tea. So I tailed them for a while. I really like the effect of the engines. The way the ships move feels really believable to me. Here I was trying to match their speed and ultimately decided to give them a little bump to see what it feels like, and Even that is right. Not that it's so hard to get it right, but they did. I wanted to stress the way the flight model works and how ships feel, and I'm very satisfied with that. Like this particular here is great. So what follows is me trying to get to the war zone. There's in your left menu you have possible destinations within your system. You can actually get to other systems, but you have to plot plot a hyperspace jump, which is really nice. This is not hyperspace, this is super cruise. It's something in between normal speed and hyperspace. Hyperspace makes you do a huge jump in just a second, but super cruise allows you to go at crazy sublight, subluminal, I don't know what's the name, speed and travel across the system in a few minutes. You still have to drive, you still have control of your ship. That's what I really like about this. Even though I understand it could get boring at some point, but it's really sweet how you have to get into this crazy space tunnel and to get to your destination. What happens though is that sometimes players or NPCs, so far only NPCs, can interdict you and get you out of Super Cruise. As you can see, it's a rough stop, and it can be pirates, like in this case. In fact, I was about to run off, but this pirate, yeah, it's kind of cute. See, like in the upper left corner, the communication channel. Yeah, this guy Conrad Fries. Like I want it all. It didn't look so dangerous, so I opened fire. And the next message, yeah, you have no chance now. But later on, he would say like, "Oh my God, I gotta flee," and they tried to get out, and I killed them. Again, the effects of the shields are great. The surge of the engines when they try to speed up, yeah, that's not worth dying for. But eventually, I killed them. It was pretty easy. So I can get on my trip to the war zone again. This war zone is called the Federal Distress Signal. As you can see, there's a big, huge capital ship that is being attacked. Since the area is bugged, there's two capital ships and they're sitting on top of each other. Here you choose the faction. When you get into this area, you choose a faction, and the moment you do that, not only some NPCs will become your enemies, and some NPCs, the green ones on the radar, become your friends. But the same is true for players. Every player in the area is aligned with one of the two factions. They don't have to, by the way. They cannot be aligned and just be, well, mess with everyone. But if they want to collect the bounties from killing NPCs, they have to be aligned. So you align with one of the two factions. I chose Federal because I didn't want to die too much, and apparently everyone is Federal at the moment. I didn't want to die too much for testing purposes. And there's a lot of stuff going on here. I think this really shows how many, like, yeah, this shows how much can go on in a dogfight in Elite Dangerous. I heard a lot of criticism about all the battles being 1 versus 1, like if the engine couldn't deal with enough ships on screen. That's clearly not true. I would say that, if anything, that stays as a testament to how big the space they're trying to recreate really is. Because when you're driving a ship, no matter how big, and you have all the space, you know, you have this simulation of space around you, no matter what, they're always gonna look small, and it's always gonna look like there's not as many. But I've been able to capture a few instances with 5-6 ships fighting the same enemy, and I think it looks great, and it's probably a good sign of what's possibly coming with some of these big capital ship battles. It reminded me a little bit of a certain X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. Actually, I think it was just TIE Fighter, the game TIE Fighter. These NPCs are pretty easy to kill, especially because they don't even attack you until you start attacking them, and there's a lot of players helping each other. But in this area, I got chased by a few players that they always killed me. So not sure how they're gonna balance these areas, but right now they're just a place where you go to grind money. And here I decided to capture the detail of the capital ship. Again, I think it looks great. It's you never really get to see the details of these big huge ones from a distance. So in a way, it's unnecessary to make them to render them so finely. But at the same time, it's nice that when you get close, whenever you need to get close, you get to see the whole thing, and it doesn't feel like they're tricking you to have a faster engine or anything. I have no idea how well or bad performing the Elite proprietary engine is, because it runs very well on my computer, but it's a decently powerful computer, and so I gotta say, I think this is a very nice engine, but I cannot get into the technicalities of it. Again, another little bit of a dogfight with one of these silly NPCs, and it's great when you really get behind them and you can see the engines charging up for a burst of speed, or you can see the shield holding up until, and you even hear a big huge cracking noise when you finish their shield, as you hear some sort of boosting up noise when the shield recharges. I think these details are amazingly good. I killed the last one I needed to get enough credit to buy a second laser, which is cool because yes, I'm gonna become more powerful, but at the same time I'm gonna overheat more quickly, and my signature will get bigger because I'll use more power. So there's a lot of drawbacks into having a bigger ship. There's a lot of drawbacks in having a more powerful ship, and not that I know. Oh yeah, this is the inside of my little sidewinder. The cockpits are really nice. I've seen, and I don't have all the ships, but I've seen the cockpits of all the other 4 ships available at the moment. They're supposed to be 25 but by launch, but right now they only have 5, and they're very, very different from each other, which is to be expected, I understand, but still it's nice, especially when, you know, in some other game these ships are being sold for $40 up, and they make it look like it's such a big deal to have some internal details. I honestly I'm not a modeler, but it seems to me that yeah, well, let's now go there. We're back to the space station. I want to get the additional laser, and I have to fix my hull because your ship, whenever your ship breaks, you have to repair it and you have to pay for it. It's interesting that your ship is made of many systems, and the different systems can malfunction. Like you probably remember earlier on when my pulse laser malfunctioned, but everything can malfunction. You can have a malfunctioning landing gear. You could have a malfunctioning life support, which means you wouldn't have oxygen anymore. And when that happens, you know, it's just you're about to die. But it's nice. It's that has a cool effect too. They paid a lot of attention to all these details, and I think it's great. Proceed to landing pad. I use deploy landing gear, and I cut because there's I cut to another scene because they changed my landing my landing pad, and I wanted to show you some of the details from the inside of the base. You would never notice that there's this freeway running around the base. As I said, it looks like this big huge giant hangar, but if you get close to anything, you can see how much love they put into crafting this into a believable space station. And this is only one of the 2 space stations that will be in a release. They plan on adding many more, but at release it's supposed to be 2 of them. And I decided to fly very low and very slowly to show um, that you're not just landing on a square. And they recreated the little control tower, some sort of offices. It's great. I want to spend a little few minutes to talk about the direction of the game. I don't have much time. You're probably not interested in this. I get it, but uh, I have to say that they got everything so far absolutely right. In my opinion, everything they have so far is great. It's perfect. It's fantastic. It's a dream. The problem is that there's obviously a lot of missing elements yet. I read their design papers and their plans. They're very, very, very ambitious, and I had no idea they were going to be so ambitious when I started reading about the game. And I thought Star Citizen was the real MMO, and this one was just going to be elite with a little bit of multiplayer. But they have a lot of stuff going on, dynamic systems, political systems, players being able to change the market and the political systems in the various parts of the galaxy, and taking and changing the kind of missions they are available. Well, there's so much more. But the problem is that none of that is in the game right now. What you have in the game right now is a very basic version, or you could say, yeah, no, it's a very basic version of Elite 2 Frontier, and it plays great, but they have to add everything else. And since they want to release by the end of the year, I know very well that I'm pretty sure they're not gonna make it. They need 25 ships, and they have only 5. They need to create all these subsystems that are not in the game, and considering that they don't have that much money, I feel that this is a clear case where they got the core of the game working in order to attract more funding and to attract more hype. And they're leaving for last the parts that will make this game great, as opposed to will make this game a game you want to play for a year instead of 2 weeks. Right now, I can totally see myself playing this game for 2 weeks. And again, I know this is beta, so it doesn't even count. It's not a game. I'm just saying, they cannot do what MechWarrior did. They cannot launch with a great fighting module and they forget to add everything else. They have to add everything else. There has to be the Elite universe. There has to be missions. There has to be trading. There has to be political intrigue. There has to be storylines. There has to be a chance for players to communicate with each other. There's no communication right now. There has to be a way to own multiple ships, and none of this is in the game. And I'm afraid this is where the age of delay starts. Like, oh, it's coming next month, it's coming next month, it's coming in 3 months. We'll see. It's just that, as excited as I am for everything that I tried so far, I need to start I need to start they need to start implementing all the difficult subsystems. It's true that they probably got the hardest part, but everything else has to be in the game, otherwise there's no future. As you noticed, I finally landed. I am checking stuff, modules you can buy. I bought a second laser. You have different hard points on different ships. You have different class of weapons, and here you can buy and sell goods. Right now, you don't know what's the price in other stations, but later you're supposed to be able to buy information from other players and NPCs. The information game is great on paper, but they have to make sure it's gonna happen for real. So here I'm leaving the station. I repair my hull. I put a second laser, and just taking off. Oh, yeah, there was something else. The galaxy map. This is mind-blowing in my opinion. I don't know if they really put 100 billion stars as in our galaxy, but as far as I know, they have software that allows them to put official science data into it, and that the software translates it into game data, which is what we have here. I know 99.9% of the systems will be empty in the game. There's no way, no matter how good is your procedural software, I'm sure everything will be empty or copy pasted somehow. But even if it's only a little area around where you start, it feels so amazing to have this unexplored space to go around. They said a cool feature will be that players will be able to name systems that they discover or planets into systems that they discover, and there's so many real stars that I'm sure they will never run out of that. So there's supposedly there's a lot to do for explorers. Sorry. Um, but again, development has to get into another meaty phase. They developed something great. I don't know how much it has changed since alpha, but it looks like they're already fine-tuning bugs instead of adding important features. So I love what we have so far, but the game is nowhere near to be ready for launch. We need more stuff. And that was most definitely all I had to say about this game. So thanks for listening this far. See you in game.